Okay, welcome back to another critique. First up, we've got Bipul, and I see Bipul. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Apologies if it's mispronounced. I see that you have a raw render, a comp, and a reference. And just looking at the reference and looking back at your lighting, I'm looking at the raw renders, and I can see straight away that you've achieved the look more through the comp than the lighting, and I'd like you to go back actually to try and achieve this, using this reference to come up with something that's closer to that in the raw render. And I see that you've kind of changed the tint from a more of a magenta to a cyan tint, and I'd like you to actually try and get that achieved in the raw render. So I can see that also in terms of the fill, you're actually closer to the reference in the amount of fill that you have. In the amount of fill that you have in the raw renders versus the finished, and I feel that this is probably closer to where you want to be, and you can see here that the fill is quite lifted relative to the key, whereas here it's going darker a lot more, and I don't know whether that's something that you wanted to achieve and as a departure from the reference. But if I was going off the reference, then I'd say that your raw renders are probably where you want to go, and you probably want to lift it a little bit more. So what else? And in terms of the lighting itself, it's more, the reference, the lights actually coming more from camera side, and you can see that it's probably more of a diffuse key light, and there's either something underneath, some sort of bounce source to get light coming back on, or there's this secondary fill light off to the side here or underneath that's lighting up his underside. And I can see here that you're going more for a sort of a backlit look, and you can see that the light source, you can actually see the light source, and it's giving more of a rim type effect, which is nice. I really like that. And yeah, overall the shots actually, if this was your intent, i.e. to light the figures more as from a sort of a kick or a rim, then it looks like it's definitely successful. The only thing is, I would recommend that you try to achieve the look in the lighting rather than the comp, and I think that just may be a simple matter of tweaking the tint on the lights from a more magenta to cyan to achieve your look. Alright, great, thank you. Ubed, again, apologies if I've mispronounced it. I can see that you've had a go at adding like a warm light source from each of these shots from within inside a room or a tunnel or some sort of space, and I feel like compared to before, this is a much more engaging shot. And I know that you were looking for sort of an overcast sort of look initially, but I feel that you know, with the introduction of these warm lights from within these rooms and the tunnel, you're getting more color contrast, even though, you know, you're not losing that sense of you know, this kind of overcast and sort of foggy, atmospheric tone to the lighting. It's still there, but you've got this nice, you know, contrast in the lighting with these warmish lights, and I feel that, you know, they're very successful shots. So, well done. I don't have any further comments to this, other than if you wanted to keep going with it, you know, you could try adding some figures. You know, some people in the shot. You know, I see that you've got, you know, Unreal. You're using Unreal, so you could download some metahumans and maybe set up some sort of, you know, a series of these shots where you have, you know, this one, and then the figures would be kind of silhouetted against the light. You could try that if you wanted to push it further. I actually think you're in a good place. So yeah, it's looking good. Thank you. Dipali, I can see that you've introduced or you've warmed up the key somewhat, and we're getting a sort of more of a sense of it coming from behind, and, you know, hitting the characters here, and that's feeling really nice. And it feels like there's definitely a lot more depth because of the warmish light versus the cool fill. And I see you've lifted the fill slightly in the hair. That's feeling nice. My only other comments would be maybe to try and there's parts of it that still feel quite flat. So I'm wondering whether you want to give this boat a little bit more shape by taking down the fill on this boat right in the center here. So you have light wrapping around here and here, which is nice. But maybe have it gradually get darker as we get towards the core here. And I see that, you know, there is a little bit there, but I feel like you could probably push it a little bit more. So darker here, and same here. Again, get the core here darker. Bring down whether it be an IBL or a dome light or a fill light, reduce that so that you get more of a, you know, the light wrapping around and getting darker in the middle here. This is actually working really well. I really like the way the light falls off on her face here. That's working really well. Same here. You can see that there is some bounce coming up here from the reflected light on the water, but maybe have it fall off sooner, you know, so maybe have it go darker, you know, round about here. Again, just so we get the core expressed, or feeling the core a little bit more, and also maybe, you know, on her hair as well, just slightly go down, maybe like half stop right here, just so we feel the the light wrapping around and then falling off on her hair. This is feeling really nice. This is great. His his face is feeling nice. Maybe just get it just a little bit darker there. This is maybe a little bit darker there as well. And here, and the boat. But otherwise, it's looking great. I would feel the sky's getting a little bit purple, a little bit too magenta perhaps. Maybe you could take some of that magenta out of the sky. Otherwise, looking good. Holly, I see that you've had a go at trying to get some more shape into the characters, but I feel like maybe I've kind of steered you towards getting maybe a little bit too much contrast into this image now. So I'm wondering whether you want to back off on the exposure here on her shoulder and her neck, and kind of make it not as contrasty as the background here, but it's more. I'd maybe back off. This is where you were. I'd maybe back off like something like that. Feels kind of nice. So maybe like 60%. Yeah, 50 to 60% is probably where we want to be. This is previous. This is now. See that there's some sort of wrap around there. I'm not sure how that's being achieved. Yeah, maybe check that. That light there. Not sure exactly what's happening. What else? I guess the only other thing is perhaps I see that there's a little bit of, you got a little bit of some sort of edge or rim light there. Maybe if you could go a little bit hotter on this as she turns her face, just to kind of etch her out from, the seat here. It's working pretty well on the boy. I see that you've got some similar light source here, and on his head perhaps you could get some sort of similar effect on her as well. Maybe a little bit more light wrapping around from the rear window. Yep, that's it. Have a go at that. And then XVArts, I see that you've had a go at moving, moving that background island structure, whatever it is, and you've kind of, I guess, let this source here kind of come through and light the figures, and it's looking pretty cool in general, and I like that effect on the characters in general. I feel like his shirt is starting to feel a little bit metallic. I'm not sure whether you want to check the shaders And also this rim light, which definitely feels motivated by this light on the horizon, which is great. On her it's not too noticeable, but I feel that it's a little bit hot on him. So I feel like, you know, if we were to let's see, if we went down, you know, this here feels hotter than the light source. So this is a good way to check whether you know, some light that's coming off of the source is actually brighter than the source itself. So this is actually this should be happening. You know, the sunlight should be brighter than what's reflected off it. So this is a way to kind of check it. And so I would maybe bring that down. Yeah, bring that down. On her, it doesn't feel too bad actually. Yeah, it doesn't feel too bad on her. I would maybe bring up the bounce just slightly here. Maybe just a touch here where, you know, the water's quite close. You know, it should be, it feels like it should be brighter here than here. Try that. I may be completely wrong, but I feel like maybe this needs to go a little bit brighter. Maybe this needs to go a little bit darker. And I feel like, yeah, the background looks to me like there's I'm not sure whether this is just me reading into it incorrectly, but it feels like there's another light source from maybe this side coming there. I'm wondering whether you need to maybe take it down a little bit and maybe get the edge reading a little bit more similar to the way you've lit the characters. You know, light that background a little bit more of a kicker or rim. And just bring up the fill on her hair. You know, bring up that fill here. Just a tad. So I feel like it's gone a little bit too dark. So cheating some fills, you know, some area lights here, boom. Some area lights here, boom. You know, have it be this kind of bounce light that comes up and then illuminates their core a little bit more. But the feel of it is much, much better than the way you had it before. I feel like, and the water, the reflections on the water look great as well. That's, you know, that's working so much better. Yep, I see that you've done quite a bit of work getting that those reflections of the sky into the water. So that's working really well. All right, so yeah, that's coming along really well. So it's great to see. Alrighty, and I think that's it. All right, thank you very much, and I'll speak to you guys soon.